Before I get started today, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit that like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. And leave a comment down below and let me know if you enjoyed WandaVision or not.
Excellent!
So this is my official reaction and review to WandaVision Episode 9, the season finale. I'm also going to go over my overall thoughts on the whole season of WandaVision. But first, Episode 9. So this episode picks up pretty much where the last one left off. It features Wanda and Agatha having a big witch throwdown. Eventually White Vision shows up and attacks Wanda, but she's saved by the illusion version of Vision. Illusion version of Vision. That's hard to say. And here's my first real problem. I don't think this show has done a good enough job explaining the rules of the Hex and how everything works inside of it. Because how I understand it, the illusion version of Vision is an extension of Wanda's fantasy. So does that mean that she's controlling him? Because most of the times he comes off as his own entity, like he's a free-thinking being. Especially later in the episode when he restores White Vision's memories. Or gives White Vision his memories. I'm just not really clear how a manifestation of Vision would be able to do that, especially one that was hazy on his past to begin with.
That makes sense.
I think aspects of this show seem convoluted at times because they didn't do a good enough job explaining things. For instance, we see Quicksilver and Monica locked in a basement, and it's revealed that Evan Peters' character is just a guy named Ralph Boner that lived in Westview, and he was basically mind manipulated into thinking he was Quicksilver. This raises a lot of questions for me.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. And I want to have them answered immediately.
So is it just a coincidence that Agatha chose him to be Quicksilver? Is Agatha breaking the fourth wall and giving us, the people watching, Easter eggs that we can enjoy? I'm not really sure how Evan Peters' Quicksilver fits into this story if it's revealed that he's just some random guy who lives in Westview. Either way, leave it to the MCU to take an interesting dynamic like Quicksilver and turn it into a boner joke. So his inclusion in this story was pretty much a waste of time and nothing more than an Easter egg. And to be clear, it's nowhere near the level of Luke Skywalker being included in The Mandalorian. I'm sorry, Elizabeth Olsen.
You didn't see that coming.
Most of this season, I've had a difficult time sympathizing with the character of Wanda. I mean, she basically mentally enslaved a whole town just for her personal reasons. They do address this at the end of the episode, but Monica still tries to portray Wanda as a sympathetic figure. Monica tries to push the idea that the people in the town will never understand what Wanda had to sacrifice in order to save them. But these people wouldn't be in this situation unless Wanda did what she did, so that doesn't make a lot of sense to me either.
Fuck you!
Agatha basically wants Wanda's powers. That's basically why she set up this whole plot to begin with. So towards the end of the episode, she's taunting Wanda that if she breaks the Hex, that she's going to lose the family that she created inside of it. Wanda eventually defeats Agatha by turning a little lesson that Agatha gave to her back around on her. Basically, because Wanda cast the spell to create the Hex, she's in control inside the Hex. If that's the case, then what have we been doing for the past 2 episodes? Couldn't she have just done this once she got Agatha outside of the little basement dungeon? I mean, I get it. Wanda had to find herself and unlock her powers in order for her to become the Scarlet Witch. But it just seems like this could have been resolved a lot sooner based on what Wanda does in this episode. After Wanda defeats Agatha, she turns her back into Agnes and basically forces her to live out her life in Westview as this mental slave again. I know she's a villain, but Wanda is still supposed to be a hero, so this came off a little bit weird also.
I'm having trouble.
Here's where Wanda starts to collapse the Hex little by little, and her family retreat to their dream house, which is basically at the center of it. Wanda says goodnight to the kids, which is essentially a goodbye, and she also has a nice little moment with Vision right before the Hex reaches the house. I will say there has been some pretty good emotional moments in this show. They have handled that aspect of the show pretty well. So once the Hex closes, the house disappears, Vision disappears, the kids disappear, and Wanda is alone once again. And of course, Wanda sacrificed her fake family in order to save everyone she enslaved in the first place.
But you one crazy ass bitch!
It's okay though, because it's stated that her family is alive inside of her. Wanda eventually flies off, and I guess the idea is that she's going to learn to control her powers more. And in the post-credits, she's living in seclusion and she's learning to train herself in the ways of the witch. We hear a woman's voice screaming for help, and that's how WandaVision comes to an end. So as far as this first season of WandaVision goes, it's been an up and down experience for me, as I already stated. I appreciate the fact that they broke the Marvel formula and tried something new with this property. But it also feels like they didn't go all in on the idea either. It feels like they could have done something a lot more interesting with the story they were trying to tell, especially with all the sitcom stuff that was going on. I think they managed to add some intrigue with the inclusion of Evan Peters' Quicksilver about halfway through the season, but even that storyline ultimately fell flat with the reveal that he's just a regular guy. As I've stated, it's also difficult for me to get behind a protagonist that does things as an antagonist would do. I understand that her emotional issues and all the tragedies that she's experienced played a big role in that, but it still happened, and I don't think it was the best way to portray her character in a sympathetic light. I think there was some laziness at times in how they were not effectively able to explain how things work in this world, and that made the ending for me feel a little bit more convoluted and less effective. And once again, using humor in awkward places in the story ruins the illusion for me a little bit, pun intended. It kind of ruins the idea that there's real stakes and a real conflict happening in this show. So taking all this into account, I'm going to give the full season of WandaVision a careless Sam Gerard.
I don't care!
So let me know what you thought about WandaVision in the comments down below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Y'all be cool. Right on.